called this section, There Are No Bad People in the World. This is probably the most challenging of our schemas, but this is all about making you feel better around situations that previously would have made you uncomfortable. Whilst on the face of it, this may feel challenging to accept, we think once you do, it will make your world a better place. There's no bad people in the world. That might be hard to accept, but what I'd like you to consider is there are no bad people in the world. There are good people that sometimes do bad things. You see, I got bullied at school, and there was this particular bully who really made life difficult for me at school. And I thought I had this master plan that I would make friends with him and therefore he'd stop bullying me. However, we did make friends, but it backfired because he actually started to bully me more. Never understood it. Anyway, fast forward 25 years, I actually bumped into him. And it was quite a surreal moment for me. I was looking at him and he came over and said, "Nick, how are you?" And I just stood, I would think, what? How dare you? How dare you come and talk to me? And he was like, and I said, "But you made my life at school hell." And he said, "What are you talking about? We were best friends." Anyway, the conversation we had afterwards, I realised that his perception we actually were best friends. And what happened, he lived in quite a violent household to the point that he told me that one day his dad, because he wouldn't get out of bed, his dad grabbed hold of his feet, dragged him out of the bed with his feet and pulled him down every stair on the house. And I remember he always came to school, he always had cuts on his faces, he always had bruises, and everyone in the school were frightened of him because they thought he was dead hard because he had all these marks on his face, but actually it was down to his dad. And what he'd learned from his dad, because his dad after that would say, "I love you, son." So he made a learning that violence equals love. And that's why my plan backfired, because when I got close to him and he became closer to me, he wanted to beat me up more because that's what he'd learned. However, the point of this is there are no bad people in the world. He wasn't a bad person. He'd learned to be violent because of what he saw at home. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because it will expand your world if you can look at people and instead of being anxious around some people or frightened of some people, you can have the understanding they're not bad people, but potentially they are doing bad things.
You see, negativity can be really contagious, and that's the reason that we're sharing this schema with you, because it's all about you. We don't want you to have any negativity in your world, but hate and anger towards others can really create a really toxic environment. It can make you feel really bad. And like we said, we just want you to feel great. So by accepting that actually it's not bad people, it's circumstances that make them bad, that will help you to feel better. Now, I was bullied too, and I guess pretty much most people that we speak to on some level, whether it be at school or whether it's at work or socially, on some level, most people have had some form of bullying in their life. And you can live your life absolutely hating this bully, and that would make you a victim of that person. And even if it was years ago, for every moment that you carry hate, you continue to be a victim of that bully. And we want to release you from that. We want to take you from victim to victor. We want you to feel great about yourself and acknowledge, actually, they weren't a bad person, it was bad circumstances. Now, I was bullied, and what I can tell you is that most bullies, the reason they bully is because they feel really bad about themselves. Just like Nick's bully, you know, he was having a rough time at home. And most people that bully, they too are having a rough time at home. And we'd like to just give you this little analogy that just might make you feel that little bit better. And that is, if you imagine that this is you, great person, you're at school, everybody likes you, the teachers like you, you've got a nice home life, you're pretty, you're attractive, you've got great things going for you. And then you've got the bully. Now the bully is from his environment or her environment, probably doesn't feel great about themselves, and they see you. Now they've got two choices. Choice number one is to really work hard and to be more like you. But because they've got no belief in themselves, they actually think, do you know what, I could never be like that person. So they go for plan B, and that is to knock that person down, knock them down, and knock them down a little bit more. So the bully can stay exactly where they were, but they made you feel really, really bad about yourself. So what we'd like to consider is that actually you were bullied because you had something that was really amazing. They looked at you and you had something that they wanted. So as unpleasant as it was, it's kind of a backhanded compliment. And it's a backhanded compliment because they looked at you and thought, wow, they've got something that I would love to be, and they were envious of you. And like I said, the reason that we feel this is a really important point to make is that we don't want you moving forward from this day on still being a victim of that bully. It's time to move on. So, no bad people in the world. We've got a great example of that, and I'm just wondering whether you can guess who this could be. So this is a guy who at the age of 13 became a cocaine addict. When he was 16, he beat someone, a man, so badly that he became unconscious, and he was then sent to prison on the grounds of attempted murder. Now, can you believe that that is actually the amazing and incredibly talented actor Mark Wahlberg? Now, Mark Wahlberg, looking at him now, is he a bad person? Absolutely not. Was he a bad person then? No. He was the same person, but he did bad things because of a bad environment and because of his upbringing. He was one of 9 children. A lot of his siblings had been sent to prison. He lived in a culture where crime was what they all did. But when he was 16 and he was in prison, he made a decision. He no longer wanted to be that way, and he made a change. He changed his environment, he changed his circumstances, and he changed the person that he was. The point of this schema really is just to address how much there aren't bad people, it's just bad circumstances, and by accepting that, that will make your world a far better place to be. Moving forward, we just really want you to consider this schema. It's probably one of the most controversial of our schemas and probably the most difficult to accept. And we're not talking about the bigger world and what's going on in the news necessarily. We're talking about you and your personal life. Because when you can accept that whoever has done you wrong, they're not a bad person, it's just bad circumstances that made them that way, it makes you actually realise that you're not at fault, and it can help you to move on and leave them in the past.
Because so very often we find people that are living a life with fear and anxiety because of something that happened so many years ago. And that's because they are still living their life as a victim as opposed to being a victor. And we just want you to consider that what happened in the past is history. You can't change that. What you can change is how you perceive it. And once you accept that whatever happened, those potentially weren't bad people, and you can let it go, then you stop living your life as a victim, you stop being oppressed by those memories, and you become a victor.